The Laura Ingraham Show.
Hello, you're listening to The Laura Ingraham Show, 855-40-LAURA. Oh, we have so many double standards to get to today. Maybe this will just be double standard. What is it, Wednesday, Thursday, Wednesday? Double standard Wednesday. Aren't you sick of Throwback Friday or Throwback Thursday? Raise your hand if you're tired of that phrase. But I don't think I've ever heard double standard Wednesday. There's no consonants with that. But it's a double standard. Now, why is it a double standard? Because not only does the left say the most horrific, awful, horrible things about female conservatives, they do it to people who aren't even all that political, like Melania Trump. Look at what they've said about her. Horrible things about Melania Trump. But suddenly Maxine Waters is a shrinking violet. She has said the most nasty things, much worse than physical appearances, by the way. Comments about physical appearance, much worse about the Tea Party, about Donald Trump, about his administration, the substantive things that she has gotten wrong year after year. She's talked about white power. She's talked about the Rodney King disaster, and she said, well, it sounds like a festival atmosphere. During the Rodney King riots, people getting their face beaten in. She said it was like a festival atmosphere out on the streets.
The Tea Party can go straight to hell.
But every time she's worked up, I feel like we're doing something really great in America. Okay, maybe we can do this. Can we do T-shirts, guys? Make Maxine mad again. Write that down, Drew. I swear that's a good one. Make Maxine mad again. That's a great idea for hat, T-shirt. Would you guys buy that if I made those? Yeah,
it doesn't sound like much of a challenge.
Make Maxine mad again. Because you will be making America great again if you make Maxine mad again. So it's kind of this. It's a different way to state the same thing. Make America MAGA, MAGA, MMM, make Maxine mad, MMMA. Oh, it's almost like mixed martial arts, but it's 3 M's. MMMA, hashtag MMMA. Maybe we should get that trending. Hashtag trending. Maybe we should do that. So does O'Reilly actually apologize to Ms. Brown? No, he doesn't. Tell me, the no spin zone is apologizing? Go ahead.
Ms. Waters is totally sincere in her belief system.
No spin.
And although many Americans disagree with her extremism at times, she deserves a hearing and should not be marginalized by political opponents. In fact, I made that mistake on Fox and Friends. I said in a simple jest that the congressman's hair distracted me. Well, that was stupid.
Oh, it was
I apologize.
Not a big
It had
deal.
no place in the conversation.
Oh, come on. That men are so cowed by political correctness. You know who wasn't? Is Sean Spicer yesterday. We're going to get into that. April Ryan. I don't want to spoil it. Some of you might not know what I'm talking about. But if you do know what I'm talking about, well, okay, you can call in on either thing, because this involves men being totally sidelined by political correctness, and they're like cowering because of political correctness, because Maxine Waters and a couple of feminazis are upset about the James Brown wig comment. Okay, it's not a big deal one way or another, and I think Maxine Waters it has been around for a while. My goodness, how long has she been in the House of Representatives? Can you look that up? Like 30 years, something like that. Look it up, Drew. Term limit. That's all I can say. Make Maxine mad again. MMMA.
It's about being able to say to people, bring it on.
With the financial crisis looming, let's just go back. Waters was mostly worried about a bank that her husband had a financial stake in. Do you remember that? She admitted that she contacted the Treasury Department on the behalf of One United Bank officials, which prompted a congressional ethics probe. I followed up on the association's request by asking Treasury Secretary Paulson to schedule the meeting. You see, what's worse? Talking about her really bad wig, okay? Or is it worse that she is completely crooked, a total hack partisan, who is a one-note Maxine? It's about race, redistribution of wealth, race, redistribution of wealth, race. What's worse? Apologize? This is bare knuckles politics. If you want to play in the political sandbox, then you better put your big girl's wig on. Pull your big boy's pants up, right? I think she looks fine, by the way. I don't think it's a bad wig. I don't know. I mean, look, I wore a wig when I had cancer, and it didn't look so great. But it's like it was. I actually wish I look back on that. I wish I went totally bald. I had a really good bald head. I should have gone bald and like really terrified people on television. I'm really bummed I did that. I'm recommending to all of you, anyone who knows someone who's going through cancer, if you're a female, throw the wig away. Okay, the wig itches, it's hot, and it's a big pain. Go, unless it's a winter time and you're cold. But that wig that I still have it in the garage. Nico puts it on sometimes just for fun, but it got all tangled up. The dogs ate half of it, but that was not a great wig. I look back in the pictures, I'm like, I look much better bald. I was really skinny, but I look much better bald. So throw the wig off. Throw caution to the wind. Throw the wind to the wig to the wind. Okay. Maxine Waters. She is one of the biggest, most crooked politicians in Washington, D.C. And her boosters are upset about a wig comment.
I'm a strong black woman, and I cannot be intimidated. I cannot be undermined. I cannot be thought to be a friend of Bill O'Reilly or anybody. And I'd like to say to women out there everywhere, don't allow these right-wing talking heads, these dishonorable people, to intimidate you or scare you. Be who you are, do what you do, and let us get on with discussing the real issues of this country.
Like intervening on the behalf of your husband's bank? Or celebrating the riots in Los Angeles? Or saying there's no crisis at Fannie Mae? Which of those things do you want to go back to, Maxine? Make Maxine mad again. I think we're on to something. We have a lot to get to here on the Laura Ingraham Show. It seems like there are a lot of women who have they in the workplace. There's like a double standard. They want to be treated with kid gloves. They say the most horrific things about other people, their motives. They mischaracterize their positions. And again, they get away with that pretty much they do that with impunity. The moment someone grazes their sensitivity, they're rushing to the television cameras to talk about how awful all of this is. If you can dish it out, honey, you should be able to take it. It's more like I am woman, hear me whine. Not I am woman, hear me roar, hear me whine. And the same thing with April Ryan. We're going to get to this. But you know what this is really about? This is about politics. This is about they want to use the race issue, saying these white men are treating these black women in a mean way, so they don't really like black people. That's what this is really about. When what it really is Bill O'Reilly's treating her like he treats pretty much everybody else, the pinheads. And Sean Spicer, we'll get into the press briefing room yesterday. Sean Spicer treated April Ryan the way he treats all the reporters. He didn't treat her differently because she's black. He didn't treat a CNN reporter as a female differently over the weekend because she's a female. He treats everybody. If they misrepresent the administration's views, he's going to challenge you. And if you're nodding your head or looking exasperated for the camera, which is mugging to the camera, by the way, then, he's a human being. He might call you out on that as well. And then April Ryan's perfectly well-equipped to say, well, Sean, I wasn't shaking my head, but thanks a lot, and go back at him. That's fine. But don't claim that you're being treated differently or imply that you're being treated differently because you're a female or because you're black. I think women do themselves such a disservice. You know what else I don't care for while I'm at it? I'm sick of all these women's days, months, women STEM. Let me just say about this. Women are awesome, okay? They're half the population. They're juggling home and work, and they're doing really well. They'll do even better if government gets out of their way. And we have better trade deals. We have better immigration. Women will do even better. But we don't need special days or special affirmative action style boosts from government or other do-gooder officials. We don't need that. What we need is fairness, just fair. We need fairness, the rule of law to apply. And I'm so tired of it's Women's Month. It's this month. It's this ethnic group's month. It's this history month. Let's just all do better. Women, men, whatever your color is, wherever your ethnicity is, let's just be better Americans. Do we have to separate everything by gender, by ethnicity, by race, oh my goodness, it's tiring. Do you agree with me? It's all women's empowerment. I'm going to do women's empowerment. You know something? You know what the most empowering thing is? To treat women with respect, as we should treat men with respect, as we should apply the same standards. If men have to take off a lot of time from work for personal reason, whatever rules apply to men should apply to women, in my view. And you can make a window of exception for childbirth and so forth. But I mean, if we're going to be competing with men in the workplace, we better act like it. Doesn't mean you have to lose your femininity either, but it means that you have to stop whining. As my friend Wendy always says. She always says whining like whining. She says to my kids, stop whining. So stop whining. Just do your best. 855-40-LAURA. We'll take a break. Hillary comes out defending April Ryan or Maxine Waters. Oh, my God. This is girl power. Join me with our new campaign, Making Maxine Mad Again. And Donald Trump looks. They have a woman playing Sean Spicer on Saturday Night Live. I mean, it's okay to go after his masculinity implicitly. That's all. It's open season on conservatives.
Now, I know most of the attention these days is on a certain flamboyant front runner. But don't let the circus distract you. If you look at their policies, most of the other candidates are just Trump without the pizzazz or the hair.
That was Hillary back in 2015. Well, that's one of the tamer comments. But, I mean, again, it's open season. If you're a conservative, you by nature are racist, sexist, anti-immigrant, you hate women, anyone of a different ethnicity than white you hate. And you're probably a fat cracker from the South. You probably have no, upper teeth. You're a hayseed. You probably walk around in your fat shorts and your big fat flip-flops. And, you're just a total hayseed troglodyte. That's what they think of you. That's what they think of Southerners. If you're Southern and you're white, I mean, you were basically born with a KKK cross burning on your lawn. That's what they think. And you know something? I'm so tired of it. And I think more people have to call out Maxine Waters and all these people for their double standard and their phony baloney issues. This is a phony issue. Hillary's trying to piggyback on it because she thinks she's going to get some momentary traction after her disastrous campaign. And no one buys this anyway. People are so tired of this. And by the way, when it's a majority-minority country, what are you going to say? That you're still the minority? You still going to make that argument? A lot more to get to on the Laura Ingraham Show. 855-40-LAURA. The left is going absolutely crazy over the new environmental moves that the Trump administration is making. I'll tell you about them. Steve Moore is going to stop by and tell us the truth. Don't go away. Okay? And it's this was an Instagram post. Don't allow hunters to shoot hibernating bears from airplanes. And there's a really cute picture of looks like a black bear eating some, leaves or something. It's very sad. And I guess the forcechange.com, petition to change your world. If Trump doesn't change his mind, hunters will soon be able to shoot at wolves and hibernating bears from airplanes. Sign this petition to oppose this disgusting and cruel practice. Do you think that really allows people to shoot hibernating bears? I mean, I personally don't think you should be able to shoot hibernating bears. I don't know about the shooting wolves from helicopters. That seems like not a fair fight, but Also, I'm not sure this is a federal issue. Seems to me these are state issues. I wouldn't do either thing, and I don't like either thing. That's me. The question is, what is the role of the federal government? Federal government. Not what the role of the state government is, but what is the role of the federal government? So people are they're going crazy over these environmental regulations that are being lifted by the Trump administration. Okay, and then, yeah. So it's the bear post. I'm clicking on the thing now. Hold on. Oh, yeah, so that's the first way they get you is the cute picture of the bear, and then they get your email address. They suck up your email address, and then then they sell the email address to other left-wing groups because this is all about the list. Well, for a lot of these groups, when you give them your email, you're basically giving them a contribution. Now, why is it? Because they put together a list of people, and then they compile that list. They use that list to make money. Then they sell that list to other organizations. So the list itself becomes a source of income for the left-wing groups, but they're really good at doing it. I think on an issue like the environment, I think it's really important, and Trump touched on it yesterday, but I think it's really important for the president to actually do some pre-messaging.
We're going to have safety. We're going to have clean water. We're going to have clean air. One after another, we're keeping our promises and putting power back into the hands of the people. First, today's Energy Independence Action calls for an immediate reevaluation of the so-called Clean Power Plan.
Well, and the Clean Power Plan was put into effect by Barack Obama, and his energy and environmental agenda, it wasn't an energy agenda, it was an environmental agenda, as you remember, was written by the far left. Remember all of his boondoggle loan guarantees to failed companies like Solyndra? Well, that went into the billions of dollars. When you added it all up, went into the billions. Complete farce. What I think would be really useful for the administration to do, and I'm just doing some Wednesday morning quarterbacking here, is when you're going to do something big like this that you know is going to be twisted by the left, I'd spend maybe a week doing some pre-messaging. I'd lay the groundwork for what's happening. I'd have every surrogate who handles these issues out there in the media talking about the 5 most onerous environmental regulations that don't protect the environment and that hurt business. I would have these so well advertised and explained that anyone who follows the news after a week or maybe 10 days knows them. And I would do this message consistently before the rollout. Before the rollout. Because if you don't do that, what happens? Well, just go on any of your favorite websites. I'm joking when I say favorite. Let's go to doing it in real time here. Let's go to like slate.com. Any number of left-wing organizations will have little links to the misrepresentation of the Trump agenda. Okay? When they're not complaining that he's not throwing out the first pitch. Yeah, here it is. Obama's Clean Power Plan isn't why coal is struggling, and killing it won't bring back miners' jobs. That's one of the top pieces on Slate. Another one, Trump's environmental executive order is as stupid as it is damaging. Now, you're never going to stop all of this mischaracterization, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to mischaracterize it. But those who don't follow politics as closely as maybe some of you do who listen to the show, who we want in the Republican and the conservative populist tent, it would be good if we had some earlier messaging, some setup messaging on these types of initiatives. I think it would be smart, and I think it's easily done by really good people. And there are plenty of them out there. My gosh, Heritage has done incredible work on this. The Competitive Enterprise Institute has scholars who have just devoted their lives to this issue of debunking the environmentalist claims. The environmentalists who wrote the Obama regulatory policy, by the way. And one of the more outrageous things said by a congressman, Swalwell, can't read it.
It's Swalwell. It's a Democrat from California. He's 15th district in California. This is what he said yesterday about Trump's supposedly war on coal.
These protections were not a war on coal. They were a war on the lung cancer that the workers were suffering because of the pollutants from coal. They were a war on the dirty air that the emissions were causing.
The false compassion of liberalism. This is all false compassion. How many of you think they really care about the health of these coal miners? How many of you really think they're up at night worrying about the coal miners, how the coal miners are doing, how the coal miners' families are doing? They don't care about the coal miners. They laugh at the coal miners. They think the people in West Virginia are all stupid. They voted for Trump. They have all these conservative Democrats representing them. And they look down on the coal miners. And some California congressman cares about the coal miners. What they care about is Washington getting bigger and more powerful and continuing a vice grip on your daily life. How many of you have run into your state EPAs? Yeah, your state EPA problems. Yeah, well, where you get a notice from your state Environmental Protection Agency complaining that on your own property you built a shed. This happened to a friend of mine. That's why I'm saying it. You built a shed where you shouldn't have built your shed. My friend has 14, 15 acres in Connecticut. Beautiful. Very, very rural. A Environmental Protection Agency drone or some kind of aircraft flew over his property, and they do this regularly, and they take photos of your property. And then they send you a notice with appear at some administrative body to defend your actions. I find all of this to be creepy, and we certainly don't want the federal government to be micromanaging environmental policy to the extent that has been done over the past at least 8 years. And I think you could go back even farther into some of the Bush administration. And I'm a conservationist. I believe you do need to protect the environment. We don't want dirty rivers or unclean water. As far as I can tell, the only unclean water that we saw was at Flint, Michigan, where last time I checked, most of the Democrats were in charge. 855-40-LAURA. The environmentalists, though, they will seek to frighten you. They will indoctrinate your children in public schools and private schools. The textbooks on environmental issues are all geared to the left. It is unreal. 855-40-LAURA. We'll talk more about this. We have the April Ryan versus Sean Spicer saga brewing, where another female reporter demanding special treatment by conservatives after they claim that they're feminists and they're more than equipped to handle themselves. And I'm sure Hillary Clinton will chime in on this as well, by the way. She chimed in already for Maxine Waters. We'll take a break. 855-40-LAURA as the Greeniacs going crazy.
Hi, Laura. I'm a professional forester, which means I manage all natural resources. What the liberals have done is they've taken the word conservation that you just used and changed it into preservation. Conservation is the wise use of natural resources. The term was coined by Gifford Pinchot, a forester, and you underline the word use. But most modern liberals don't want us to use our natural resources. They manufacture sky is falling scenarios if we're saying we're using up all our natural resources, which is pretty much hogwash.
No, that's a great point. Anyway. Great point. Conservationism and conservation, I should say, is the goal. We want to conserve what we have and use our resources wisely. It doesn't mean things aren't going to change. Things are going to change. And I think we have national parks that we preserve. We have millions of acres of federal land that Obama took off the grid in order for them to protect them from being used for natural resources, so we can't use those natural resources because of what Obama did. I think they're going to try to overturn that. Remember Obama did that in the last couple of months of his presidency? Took millions more acres. By the way, one of the things that happened and was exposed by the EPA, of many things that the EPA did in a radical fashion, a number of the left-wing groups that colluded with the EPA camouflaged themselves as sportsman-friendly organizations, including, listen to this, the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership. Doesn't that sound great? And the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers and the Trout Unlimited were also helping the EPA to foist the water rule onto the unsuspecting public. So in July 2014, they called for broad public involvement. And this was one of the left-wing groups, the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership, called for broad public involvement, setting the table for the EPA's campaign to gather public comment in support of its water rule. This despite the fact that the organization's support had already been touted by the EPA in an effort to make it look like a broad coalition. Those groups claim to represent sportsmen's interests, giving the rule seemingly conservative support, but they're tangled in a web of money from left-wing foundations with anti-gun and anti-agriculture agendas. The Backcountry Hunters and Anglers group gets most of its donations from 3 environmental groups, according to The Hill, while the Teddy Roosevelt Conservation Partnership gets its money from a handful of big labor and big green groups. Do you see how you've untangled this stuff? So you hear it, and it's like, oh, Trout Unlimited. That must be a bunch of conservative trout fishermen. And in fact, it's all these Greeniac groups that are, again, flooding the zone. Now, what have you done this hour to make Maxine mad again? That's our new campaign here on the Laura Ingraham Show. MMMA. Make Maxine mad again. Oh, she's very mad at Bill O'Reilly. She was mad at the Tea Party, mad at conservatives, happy about the LA riots. But I figure if we can make her mad at least once a day, we are making America great again. Just like men, but then they get very upset. They get very upset when they're called out for their bias. April Ryan is one of the more biased individuals in the press room. She gives an interview on CNN today, and we'll play some of the sound bites, where she's like, oh, no, I'm just a reporter.
I was just asking a question, trying to get an answer, and I found myself trying to defend myself. But, I'm a reporter just trying to get answers. And it was a simple question. It was a legitimate question. And
what was the question?
I just wanted an answer.
What was her question?
And I dropped my head. I didn't shake my head at first. And I reviewed the tape. I did shake my head towards the end in disbelief. But, at the end of the day, I'm a reporter. He's a press secretary, and we both have jobs to do. I'm going back today to do my job.
Okay, all right, cut these sound bites shorter. I want to listen to April Ryan going back to the press room, do her job. Okay, you know what? When she said, I was asking a question, you know what she was doing? She was giving a speech. She was giving a speech, a soliloquy on what she considers the big scandals of the Trump administration. And I'm glad Sean Spicer pushed back on April Ryan. But apparently, we have to treat female reporters, and if you're a black female reporter, Sean Spicer can't so much as even push back at all, apparently. He's not allowed to do that. 855-40-LAURA. Is this a Women's Month or Women's History Month, or is this one of those months? Is this a Women's Month? I think so. Women's History Month. Could you look it up, please? Thank you. So, this is, women are supposed to be so strong. They can be in the workplace. They can do all these things. But Sean Spicer was being mean to April Ryan yesterday. Morning Joe must have spent, 15 minutes on this today. The snowflakes at Morning Joe.
Yesterday I was questioning Sean Spicer's credibility because I really think it's at risk, in jeopardy, or shot. If you really think about it and you go through kind of a timeline. Now you might want to add questioning his stability. In yesterday's press brief, did you see him yesterday?
Yeah.
He kind of snapped.
Sounded like mansplaining.
I think things are getting in his head, which is really early for that to be happening, but then again, think about it.
You heard the exchange. Do you think Sean Spicer dealt with her in the right way? I think he should deal with her as he deals with any male reporter. Yes, March is Women's History Month. So what do we take? The women can't stand up to a White House press secretary? Really? That was tough? Look at what they do to Trump day in and day out in the press corps. The coverage is beyond biased. They know it. We know it. And yet you push back on them just a little bit, and they cry foul. They're crying foul every minute of every day. Oh, and Trump has called us the enemy, she said.
There's something on a deeper, more personal level happening now?
It's a tough one, and I want to believe that Mike McCurry said, the former press secretary for Bill Clinton, he said there's a friendly adversarial relationship. I believe the friendly piece is gone now, as you said, Allison. It is getting personal.
Personal? Personal is the political. Political is the personal. God, they don't have any problem getting personal with the president, though. They don't have any problem. I mean, they're speculating on his family, saying things about his family, his marriage in the press. There are all manner of comments and criticisms. And this is personal because he calls out April Ryan for delivering what was amounted to a pathetic liberal soliloquy at the press briefing. 855-40-LAURA. This is just absolutely pathetic. I honestly, to me, I watch this and I think this is why Trump won. People are so tired of these so-called journalists. By the way, this journalist called out implicitly, she was calling out LifeZette and other non-traditional media in this interview on CNN this morning. We'll play that soundbite coming up. I mean, she went on and on, complaining about, there are fake news basically inside the briefing room, she said. But let's go to Les in Iowa, line 1. Les.
Hey, Laura. Say at the advent of the women's movement, the hypocrisy was there for anybody that was willing to see it. The singer Helen Reddy had a couple songs that came out in the mid-'70s. One of them was a testimony to the women's movement. It was That Ain't No Way to, or I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. And then shortly on the heels of that, she came out with a song That Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady.
Ah. Yeah, well, I think that's a good point. Ain't no way to treat a lady. These women in the press briefing room, they can dish it out. You got to be able to take it. They want to dish it out, but they cannot take it. 855-40-LAURA. Let's go to Julie in Georgia on line 2. Julie.
Good morning. I don't think that Sean Spicer, yesterday he lost it, and I don't want to go to the isms or any of the isms. I get sick of hearing it, He just does not, he doesn't have very good composure, and he loses his temper very often, and I think he would have done the same thing. Well, no, the question is, would he have done that to a man? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Right. I see what you're saying.
He would have done that to a man, but he did. I know what you're saying about like
the double standard.
Going to get in there.
But you're making a different point, Julie. You're making a point. Your point what you're saying is that you don't believe he has the temperament for the job. That's a different point. I'm not going to dump all over Spicer for that. It is a difficult job. You tend to do better in those situations when you dial it back and you say, well, April, I see what you're saying. Here's the way we see it. I understand your speech that you're giving, but this is the way we're proceeding, and we think this is actually best serving the American people to be focusing on jobs and the economy. You all can do your reporting on all the collusion you think exists, and that's fine. We reject that, and we're moving forward to grow this economy. I think that kind of deals with those types of questions in a different way. And maybe you would say that would be effective, and I think it would be. But my question for the moment focuses on the female reporters crying foul when Sean Spicer treats them the way he treats the male reporters. A different question. Let's go to Jim in Connecticut. Line 3. Jim, welcome.
Hello, thank you. Listen, Spicer was right on. He did nothing wrong. He held his composure and he dealt with the question, which is, and it's true. And I voted for Trump 100%. Russian had nothing to do with me voting for Trump. Oh, the last 8 years, Hillary Clinton, that's all you need. That's all you need. Spicer's right on. I love what he does.
I appreciate it. 855-40-LAURA. Let's go to Dave on line 6. Dave, welcome.
Hi, Laura. So I don't believe he lost it at all. Sean, he has passion for his job. He has, respect and passion for his president. He obviously was interviewed for this position. I think he did a great job. And, all of a sudden now somebody gets their feelings hurt because he singled them out, which, he gets singled out quite often, as is on the radio show. So I think there was more passion for his job and respect and, passion for his president.
Well, I think that I think we'll focus it this way, and I appreciate that comment, Dave. Thank you. 855-40-LAURA. Well, that brings us to, ultimately, the lie of the day. She said the administration has damaged credibility. Now, is that an opinion? For an opinion journalist? She has no agenda. April Ryan has no agenda. In the same interview where she said that the administration has lost its credibility on a number of issues. And she said, by the way, I tweeted this comment out earlier today. She said, they have no credibility problems, and we're seeing this play out. We're seeing, she said, that thought process. I don't even know what that means. Frankly, for a journalist, that comment she made didn't even make sense. Yep. Push back against the press, you got to push them back. Push them back on their heels, because guess what? They've had it their way for far too long. Way too long. They've had a monopoly on the media, and now they're really upset. April Ryan is upset because Sean Spicer was mean to her. He was mean to her in the press room. Oh, you got to be. She's going all over television, giving interview, promoting her book, by the way, and then she gives an interview and says, it's not about me. Oh, really? Why'd you just do a book plug? Oh, by the way, she was implicitly hitting Breitbart, LifeSet, other organizations, bloggers, radio hosts who also have access to the press room.
In that room that I've been sitting in for 20 years, and to see it recently, you just wonder about some of the people that are coming in the room now. Derision. Are they really journalists, or are they spectators posing as journalists?
That's a rich comment coming from her. Are they really? Oh, the club? I thought they were all about openness and tolerance, the left. But do you see, when it's their club, they want to keep it real small. They want this press club to be really, really small. They don't want anyone else in that room because they're the gatekeepers of the truth. Let's go to Jeffrey, line 3. Jeff.
Good morning, Ms. Ingraham. How are you today?
Great, thanks.
Hey, I was just saying to the young lady, they're expecting Sean Spicer to show them respect and to be decent to them. They asked him a question. Let the man answer the question. Show him the same respect and decorum that you want him to show you. These people are just rude and they're nasty and it's wrong.
Well, I think they've been exposed, and they were exposed in this last election. They were all wrong, and they got it wrong, and they're trying to vindicate themselves now. And it's like, like Queequeg, Moby Dick. Let's go to Ahab trying to get that whale. Let's go to Susan. Go ahead, Florida. Susan.
Hi. I think Sean Spicer does a great job every day. He represents what he's supposed to do, and he sticks up for the president.
Bingo. Let's go to Rick in Georgia very quickly. Line 4. Ricky.
Yeah, very quickly in the fake news. I watched the Sean Spicer press conference yesterday in its entirety, start to finish. 20 minutes after that press conference ended, CNBC posted on their website that the White House tried to block Sally Yates from testifying, and that post was put up 1 minute after the press conference ended. And for me, that was proof that these guys are so damn biased. And now, if you look on their website now they say they denied trying to block Sally Yates. They're not even doing good basic reporting.
Basic reporting is bad. Great point. The club, though, they want that club to be small. Stay with us. Senator Rand Paul coming up. The press is relentlessly biased, and too many of them are fabulously lazy. And you have to look no further than how they reported the healthcare debate over the last 3 or 4 weeks or so, the bill itself that Paul Ryan and others crafted, the Freedom Caucus's objection to it, the comments by people like Mike Lee and Senator Rand Paul, distorted beyond belief. They're the real roadblocks to change and reform. On Live Set today, we have a great new piece about how Rand Paul and Mike Lee are keeping the health care deal alive. Conversations over the past 24 hours with top White House officials, including Reince Priebus, about how to move forward. Senator Rand Paul, who I think has made some of the best arguments about how to bring down the cost of health care of anyone speaking on television. He joins us now. Senator Paul, how are you? Great to talk to you.
Very good, Laura. Thanks for having me.
So a lot of people concluded that health care reform is dead. The Obamacare is the law of the land. A lot of finger pointing was going on, some at the Freedom Caucus, some at you, some at recalcitrant Democrats. But we understand that there have been really productive initial meetings between you and top White House officials about how to move forward.
Yes, we were there yesterday. Senator Lee and I were in the White House yesterday, and I think the conversation still goes on. So I don't think it's as precipitous as people say, oh, it's over, the door is closed, it's done. And some of that, was coming from the White House. But I can tell you that the conversations between House conservatives, House moderates, all the different factions continue to go on, and they actually think they can come to an agreement and go back to the White House with this. The other thing I continue to remain very encouraged on is the idea of these buying groups, not only within states but nationally. And I'm encouraging the White House that their Department of Labor could decide and could define what is a healthcare association even without a change in the law. And I'll give you an example. I just met with the Kentucky Restaurant Association. They have probably a couple 100,000 people who work in restaurants. And their insurance prices are going up 20-25% a year. These are lower wage employees that are lucky if they get insurance. I think if they pull together, either in a state association or a nationwide one, let's say President Trump were to legalize or normalize a nationwide restaurant association, we're now talking about millions of people that would have the leverage to get lower prices. I think this can be done by executive order, and we're encouraging the White House to do it.
I think you would have bipartisan support for this as well, correct?
Well, it's funny. They voted on this in the House, and nobody really reported it. Only 4 Democrats voted with all of the Republicans. But one thing it did do is it unified the Republicans. I don't understand Democrats' opposition to this, because the principle is basically of letting the little guy join together into a group to have power, to give consumers power against the insurance companies. And I can tell you the insurance companies hate this. They are absolutely opposed to letting the consumer join together to have leverage, because they know it'll dig into their profits. The insurance companies also doubled their profits under Obamacare, and the insurance companies are the ones lobbying for the Ryan plan because it gives them a backstop. If they lose money, the taxpayer picks up the bill.
So would it be? It's redefining. Just so I understand, it's redefining the word association in a Department of Labor regulation. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, there's something called ERISA, which allows for these nationwide plans. It's a complicated gobbledygook passed 30 years ago, but the thing is it allows for nationwide group plans to exist if they have a commonality of interest. So President Obama interpreted this to mean no one could do it because he didn't believe in letting the marketplace work. I think President Trump is very open to trying to encourage the marketplace, and he's also very open to helping people get cheaper insurance. I don't think he's beholden to big business in any way. And I think if the Trump administration can do this, I think they will, and I think they're looking at it. And so I think it would be exciting if all of a sudden that you were to get the White House to say, you know what, the NRA, the credit unions, the Restaurant Association, all of these different groups could actually form associations. I think it would be empowering millions of people not to subsidize their insurance, but to force the insurance companies to charge them less.
And would that then satisfy you for the overall approach to repeal that they were going to take in the Ryan plan, or how would that affect the?
Well, I think the Ryan plan has to get less bad or better, whichever direction it can go. But the one thing it does is, even the moderates and conservatives have something in common. We want lower priced insurance and more people to have it. So what if you all of a sudden legalize 20 million or 30 million people to join an association? Now we're talking about something that benefits people instead of just saying, oh, we're going to take away government-funded insurance. What we're going to do is actually give them a cheaper priced or a lower priced or more leverage to get a better and cheaper insurance product. I think it would help everybody. But
it still keeps the mandates in, though, doesn't it, Senator? Senator, you have the under 26 mandate.
You still have to get rid of the mandates.
Right.
You got to get rid of the mandates. There's a bunch of mandates. There's probably 10, 15 different mandates, and I think Republicans agree on 6 or 7 of them. I would get rid of all of them because I think insurance mandates, it's not the role of the government to mandate insurance, and it also drives the price up. But, people say, oh, the conservatives are purists, they won't vote for anything. If there are 15 mandates in Obamacare and you give me a bill that repeals 7 of them, I'll vote for it. But if you give me a bill that repeals 0 of them, I probably won't vote for it because I'm afraid that the insurance market will still be destroyed. Republicans will own the replacement bill, and it won't fix the problem.
Yeah, the Freedom Caucus has gotten just slammed by the, mostly by the traditional media and others. Said for them it's my way or the highway. They were slammed all over MSNBC, even on Fox News. Brit Hume was criticizing the Freedom Caucus. Is that? I find that to be
the establishment doesn't like the Freedom Caucus because they are principled and honorable men and women, and I have the greatest respect for them. I think they did what absolutely they were elected to do. They did what we told people we would do, is vote for repeal, and they didn't vote for Obamacare Light. And I think that if you look across the country, somebody yesterday produced a poll in all of the Freedom Caucus districts. They're being lauded at home as heroes. It's just the establishment hacks throughout the media who have always been our enemy, who are the ones saying, oh, they're uncompromising and refuse to take something. Well, really, it was actually the House leadership that was uncompromising and refused to talk to conservatives before they plopped this, horrible bill on the floor.
We're talking to Rand Paul here on the Laura Ingraham Show. So if you had to game it out, like 1 being the least likely, 10 being the most likely, that Republicans this year would be able to revisit the repeal of Obamacare, what would the likelihood be?
I think 70% chance we get a repeal. I really am still optimistic, and I think it really does still end up coming before we move on to the next issue, because technically it needs to be under this budget reconciliation. And if you want to do tax reform, you have to pass another budget. Once you pass a new budget, you've closed the window on Obamacare. So you'll know it's over if they pass the 2018 budget the next month without fixing Obamacare. But I think we want so much to fix it that we are still open to talking with the moderates. But it has to be something that will help people to get cheaper insurance and help more people to get insurance. It can't be something that just sort of continues part of Obamacare. If it continues the regulations, the market will still be broken and people will still be having their insurance rates go up 20% a year. That's not acceptable.
This was Ted Poe, who left the Freedom Caucus over in the House, said this.
I mean, we spent an hour and a half with the President of the United States, the Vice President, members of the Cabinet, talking and making compromise. And compromises were made. Things were added to the bill based upon the input of the Freedom Caucus. But then at the end of the day, no, it was easier to vote no.
He got a lot of airtime for leaving the Freedom Caucus, and then, he's now the favorite flavor for the media.
Well, I think when you look at the Freedom Caucus, actually probably 80% of the Freedom Caucus did stay firm and were making the bill approach something that was much more acceptable. And I actually think we were getting very close. I think they're still moving in the right direction. I think it just required a little more time. I mean, I think to have an artificial deadline and say, now the window's closed, we can no longer find an answer. No, I think an answer is still going to be found, but people need to realize that without the Freedom Caucus, we'd have gotten Obamacare light. They wouldn't have fixed the problem, and in 2 years when Republicans are back up for election again and Congress is being elected, people would have been asking themselves, why did we vote for Republicans if they just gave us Obamacare light and my insurance rates are still going up 25%? So I think the Republican Party should thank the Freedom Caucus for actually trying to get this right and for using their leverage to try to make this a more conservative bill and less of a big government bill.
I completely agree. I think this has been a really in an odd way, a really good process. Too rushed, too quick, poor reporting, and now that people actually have time to kind of sit down and say, oh, I see what you're saying about the associations or across state lines or whatever the issue is, I think it's going to get better. And now that we can do this, let's do it better. Let's make it really the best it can be, not just slapdash, get some points on the board, which I think ultimately would hurt everybody. Before we let you go, Dick Cheney came out the other day, and it was about the Russia manipulation of the election, and your dad had an interesting comment. Let's listen.
I think he's a neocon party member. I don't think he was ever a member of the Republican Party. I mean, neocons have their own agenda. Right now, the neocons are Democrats. It looks like Cheney is part of the Democratic Party now.
What was your comment about the old neocons coming forward saying it's the biggest, could be one of the biggest scandals essentially in our democracy?
Yeah, Cheney is the quintessential neoconservative, and the neoconservatives basically have never met a war they didn't like. They are full of internal contradictions, but really they're a danger to the country. And Cheney basically was the chief architect of disrupting the Middle East and really allowing Iran to become so dominant and such a menace over there. We can thank Dick Cheney for it, because once they took down Hussein, they took down the real balance of power within the Middle East. And as a consequence, everybody who's out there complaining about Iran should really thank the neocons, because the neocons actually emboldened Iran and made them such a menace.
It's quite something. There was no constituency for the perpetual war machine. It was not supported at the last election, either Hillary's war machine or Rubio's or anyone else, and certainly not McCain in 2008. But they just keep coming back. It's unbelievable, and it doesn't surprise me one bit, Senator Paul. But you've been a leader on this issue. Thank you so much for joining us. We really look forward to seeing what happens on health care. We hope for the best. That's for sure.
Thanks, Laura.
All right, we'll take a break on the Laura Ingraham Show. 855-40-LAURA. Close out this hour. A lot more coming up.
So, from what I understand, it's not okay for Spicer to be assertive and to tell somebody to stop shaking their head, and for O'Reilly to make a little fun about somebody's hairdo or wig. But it's definitely okay for actor Richard Dreyfus at the Cavuto show to call our president an idiot.
Oh, yeah. I saw that. It was yesterday, right? Because I was in the makeup room.
Terrible. No, it was 2 days ago.
Oh, it was 2 days.
My little grandson.
It was 2 days ago. Okay.
Yeah, it was 2 days ago. My grandson, which is only 11 years old, he was sitting next to me. We were watching. And when he heard that, he said, oh, that's so disrespectful, Grandma, isn't it? He's our president.
Where are you from, Anna? Anna, I love your accent. Where are you from?
I'm from Italy.
I was going to say, I'm so mad. I was just going to say Italy. I should have said it first. Darn it. Darn it. Where in Italy are you from? Where in Italy?
I love this country. I love this country. The name of the city, the town is Padova. It's near Venice. But I've been in this country for many, many years. I love this country. And I think this country gives the opportunity to everybody that wants to work. It gave me the opportunity, and I made something out of myself.
I love it.
Anyway, I am so upset. I thought until every time when I go back to Italy or to Europe, I'm telling everybody how the American people are the most wonderful. This is the most wonderful country.
All right.
Actually, I changed my mind.
Oh, yeah. It looks like a different place over there now. I appreciate it, Anna. Great immigrant story. Stay with us.